Hello everyone, this is Darwell20 and welcome to episode 67 of Darwell20's Let's Play series. Back to working on my yeast automation, which I think we should be cool with. Now, you're my fluid collector. I would like you to only pick up fluid when there's sugar nearby. We'll figure that part out in a moment, but I've decided to use the industrial foregoing fluid collector because that doesn't need a block to place down like the cyclic does. So I think this is how we're going to play it, right? So check this out. First off, I'm going to let you collect a yeast bucket. Boop. And then he should... Please don't make a liar out of me. You were working a minute ago. Oh, you're facing the wrong way. Well, there's your problem. What do I want? I want you to be... there, right? That's facing the right way now. Cool. And I want some speed upgrades in there so that it's relatively quick to pick things up. Now you're going to be cool. Perfect. Now, I'm purposely going to leave 1 bucket's worth of yeast culture in this thing at all times so that he can never pick up water. See? He will only pick up yeast now. Okay? And remember, we can use laser IO when we're extracting from this to always leave a bucket in there. So we'll never extract more than a bucket, which means there'll always be a bucket in there, which means it'll never be allowed to pick up anything but yeast culture. That's how we're going to filter what the fluid collector is allowed to pick up. Cool? So that's step 1. Step 2 is I really don't want him to pick up the yeast culture until there's a piece of sugar sitting here. So we're going to need some kind of detector for sugar. Now there's item detectors and entity detectors. Detect items nearby and output redstone. Hey, that's exactly what I want. Cool. Let's try it. I'm not sure that... I know we've played with the entity detector. Now, I want to make sure that this detects items and it works, like, can be filtered and whatnot. But let's see. Okay. So, how to compare the limit. Preview off. So we can, like, specify the range, right? That looks pretty cool. Limit, 0 greater. So I don't see a filter for it, though. Item detector. I really like a filter to be able to say, like, I want sugar to be detected here. But do we need that? Trying to think. Like, what are the situations where there might be an item in this area? I don't know. And since we can make it, like, a decent size, maybe what I do is... is something like this, right? Do you think that's sufficient? So there wouldn't be any item entities really in this area. I'd like to shrink it down 1 more and 1 more. Is that... So is the green blocks inclusive or is it only inside the green? I guess we'll find out, right? So now I want you run with redstone signal, okay? So if I drop a piece of sugar down, okay? Well, first I'm going to put the yeast. Well, no. Yes, yeast. I'm going to put yeast. I'm going to do that. You have no water. I'm going to give you water, okay? And you're going to run always on, okay? So my plan is I place sugar. This detects the sugar, right? Greater than 0. And it emits a redstone signal, which the fluid collector then turns on. The fluid collector picks up the yeast. This thing automatically places down the water, and it turns into yeast, and then we're cool. Deal? So let's turn off the preview and see what happens, right? So I do that. Are you running now? You are. That works. Look at that. That works. See? See how that worked? That worked. Cool. And now we've got yeast. How cool is that? I like it. Okay. Now, how can this break? That's an exceptional question. It can break if we run out of water, so that'll be a problem. We want to make sure that we don't run out of water. But that shouldn't be a huge problem. That should be an exceedingly simple problem. Like, we just get ourselves a sink, and we make sure that this thing stays full of water all the time. Okay. So, bing, bang, boom. Problem solved. Okay. Yeah, so we always want the fluid place to be there. We don't really need you to exist anymore, okay? What I'll do is a sink and a pipe from mechanism, probably. No need to go laser eye on this. Yes, definitely sufficient. Okay, so now you're ready to go. So now let's test that again. Boop. That works. That works really well, actually. That is super cool. Now, the other thing that can happen is we can be full on yeast culture. If that happens, he will fail to pick up the yeast, okay? Which is okay. He'll just keep trying until he can. That's okay. What I'd like to say is, like, let's measure the amount of yeast that we have and only drop a single piece of sugar if the yeast isn't full. Is that a fair deal? I think so. So let's figure out how we're going to do that right now. So this is my yeast tank. We're going to want to extract from here and place into the tank. And then we're going to want to measure the amount in the tank. And based on the amount of yeast in the tank, if it's less than 32, we're going to want to drop sugar, right? Is that fair? I think that's fair. I think that makes sense. Yes. So let's get our dropper going. What kind of droppers do we have? We've got precise dropper from cyclic. That might be the way I want to go. Because we don't want randomness, right? We want you to be cool. We want you to be very precise. Can you not face downwards, buddy? Tell me what your rotationalness can be. Can you be facing down? Do you not face down? You're a dropper. You're supposed to drop. Drop. Like downwards. Killing me, Smalls. Alright. That's okay. I think we can do this another way. I think we could do this. Requires redstone. Always on. Preview on. Count 1. Delay. And he needs a redstone. Or he needs RF. But we'll get the RF piece going in a minute. Okay. So I want... Why is your preview there? So how about you're always on and I do this? Yeah, that's not where I want you to be. From cyclic, what's that? What's that bluish thing? GPS data card saves the location of a block. Okay, so let's try this. GPS data card. Need some carbon paper. Really? You don't know how to make paper? I didn't do that yet? Dire, please. Okay, so if I put it here and do this. Oh, nope, not what I wanted. You. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of cool. Now, here's a question. Could I instead do this? It seems like the answer is yes. Now, that's interesting that you did that. It's fascinating, actually, that you did that. Why are you not filling up with water, Chief? Shouldn't you be staying full? Okay. So if I placed you... That's cool. I like that. I'm cool with that. I think that's great. I'm perfectly fine with that. And if I wanted to, I could even, like... I get the impression that this can have a decent range, so I can kind of put this precise dropper wherever I want, right? It doesn't have to sit right here. That's pretty nifty. Okay. I like. Okay. So when you get sugar, you're just going to drop it and then do the thing, right? So there's a few ways we could handle this. Like, A, we could trigger this with a redstone signal. Or B... we could insert the sugar into here when the condition is met, which I might do with laser IO. That feels like a very laser IO-y way to do things, right? So check this out. Here's what I'm going to say. Okay, small fluid tank. We're gonna have you here. Okay. Like, actually, let's place you here. That seems like a good spot, right? Now, you're only keeping $7, but that's fine. Whatever. He's staying full-ish. What we can say is, how about you have a So on the east side here, you're going to have a sensor card for yeast culture. Okay. So when you have more than a bucket's worth of yeast culture, which right now you do, right? So let's make it like what I think I'm actually going to do. Let's make it 8 for now. Okay. That's what we're going to make it. 8 buckets of yeast culture. Okay. 8 buckets of yeast culture. Cool. So when you have 8 buckets of yeast culture, I want you to emit redstone signal on the white channel, which is how we're going to know to insert sugar into here. Okay. So for that, we'll probably want, let's have a chest. And I'll probably rearrange this stuff like once I get it working, but I'm kind of like figuring it out as I go a little bit. Okay, so you two, so on the up, you are going to extract on white, sure. 1 item at a time. Every 20 ticks should be fine. I don't think we need to overclock this in any way. That should be fine. But then over here, I want you to insert, but I want to filter it so that it can only accept 1 piece of sugar at a time, but I want it to be high redstone signal, channel 0. So you can only insert, actually low signal, right? So that when you sense that there's more than 8 buckets or more of yeast culture, that will disable the insert of sugar. Got it? Because he can only accept sugar when he's not getting a redstone signal, right? So in theory, this should work, okay? The only other thing I need to do now is extract yeast from here. Maybe I want to have a card here, right? And then your job will be on this side, you're going to extract fluids, but I'm going to filter it again to yeast culture. And remember, when you, and I say this all the time, but I'm saying it again, when you filter a counting filter on the extract, it will pull out all but that amount. So in other words, this will pull out everything but 1 bucket's worth from this dude. Okay, and that should be cool, I think. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is have you guys do power. So how about right here on the down can be an energy insert card? Extract card, yes. Okay. And then here can be energy insert, so he should be filling up with power now. And here can be energy insert, and he will be kept powered as well. Cool? Okay. And he'll always drop whatever sugar he receives, so we don't have to worry about redstone signaling on that dude. Cool? All right. So then let's bind you two, right? And you're going to insert fluids. So you should be getting the yeast culture 6, right? And we left a bucket in here. We're always leaving a bucket in here so that he can never pick up water. That's the key, okay? So you ready? If I put sugar in here now, what should happen is 1 piece of sugar will be put in here. It'll pick up. This will go up to 7. It'll do it again. This will go up to 8. It'll sense that there's enough sugar in here with the fluid card, and then it'll disable the insert of sugar, and we won't get any more sugar. You ready? You ready? Turning off my magnet to make sure that we don't have any problems, and go. Boop. Oh, you're doing that. Okay. Yeah, I don't want you to do that. That's a little bit of a problem, but not the end of the world. So it definitely stopped inserting. So like everything I described happened. The problem is yes, I see what the problem is. Okay. How about this? You ready? This is gonna be cool, I think. Do you emit a redstone signal below you? It's an exceptional question that we're about to answer. So on the up, I would like you to input redstone on the white channel, okay? And the reason for that, let's see what happens. All I'm going to do is drop... Oh, good, he does work. Ah, that's cool. That's going to work. All right, you ready? So check this out. If I connect you guys now to this channel, right? Now, remember, when we're getting a signal... when we're getting a signal on the white channel, we're not allowed to insert sugar into here, right? We are now reading if there's a piece of sugar in the world on the white channel too, right? So not only are we telling the fluid collector to pick up, we're also, when we sense that there's sugar in the world, turning off the insert, right? So now there has to be both no sugar in the world and not enough yeast in the bucket. Cool? I think that's cool. Okay. So let's test that out, right? So what I'd like to do is scoop up all this yeast. I think if I click you here, this will work. Okay, so see how now it only put one sugar, right? Because the detection of the sugar, and I'm gonna scoop you up too. There you go. So now the detection of the sugar stops it from putting more sugar in. As soon as it sees sugar, see the laser's getting dimmer? The laser's off because there's sugar in the world. And then once the sugar's not in the world anymore, it's allowed to insert again. Isn't that cool? How cool is that? Right? And then once we hit 8 buckets of yeast culture here, right, and we're always keeping one in, once we hit 8 buckets of yeast culture here, he'll stop being allowed to drop sugar. And that's pretty cool. How cool is that? Is that super cool? I think it's super cool, right? So he won't pick up this source of yeast until there's sugar in the world. And he won't be allowed to have sugar in the world until we need more yeast. That's not a bad... I've never done it that way. And I'm pretty happy because I feel like it's pretty perfect. The things that can go wrong are... if we run out of sugar, it's not a problem, right? Because if we don't have sugar in there, he doesn't care, right? Like he's just going to sit there. He will not pick up yeast until we have sugar to place it. So that won't be a problem. Okay. Once we have sugar in there, we should be cool, and he'll start running again. Perfect. Things that can go wrong. If I drop any item entities in the world because I can't filter on sugar, that's one potential fail. If that becomes a major problem, I could use another sensor. Some kind of other thing that I can filter. But that, I mean, I know, you tell me, but I think that's pretty solid. That's a solid yeast automation system. Right? And then once we hit 8 yeast, we're good. That feels really solid to me, and not nearly as complex as some of the previous ones I've done. Is there easier ways to do it? Probably. Does Dire like to do things a little more complicated because sometimes they're funner? Yes. It's the way we roll, folks. It's the way we roll. All right, so now we've got yeast automated, right, which is super cool. The only thing I'm going to change here is I'm going to take this card, and we're going to make it 30, okay? And that should be cool. So once we hit 30 buckets of yeast, he will stop. And he stopped, right? Because we're at 31 now. I put what was in this tank, and that's cool. I think we're good. I think we're all around really good. All right, we'll let this run, and this will be our yeast automation system. I'm just going to throw a bunch of sugar in there. I don't know why I auto-crafted that. It would probably be easier just to do it manually, but whatever. I have to run my AE stuff over here, but at some point I'll do that. But this seems cool to me. And from Simply Magnets, isn't there like a magnet? Prevents items up to 5 blocks away from being attracted by magnets and can be filtered. Yeah, let's do one of these. So if I'm not mistaken, and we put sugar in here. Right? That's cool. Look at that. Any sugar in this area won't be picked up now. So if I turn my magnet on and we drop sugar in the area, I'm not magneting it up. Or I am. I don't know. That's a blacklist. I want to whitelist it. Hey, that's cool. I like that a lot, actually. So that means I can leave my magnet on and not be... That's cool. That's actually extremely awesome. All right, great. So yeast automation complete. So that's pretty cool. So now talk to me about what I do with yeast. Yeast plus poisonous potato makes ethanol, right? So we're going to want to pipe our yeast into here, right? And that's how we're going to get ethanol. And that just needs... that also needs a magical temperature between 30 and 60. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, I think. That also has to stay between 30 and 60. It's not great. It's not going to be easy. We'll figure it out. Uranium's not a long-time solution because uranium turns to lead. I want to do it with the vortex tube in an intelligible way. Talk to me about how I can do that. Pneumaticraft has a pressure limiter module. Regulator tube limits the pressure allowed on its low side based on the redstone signal it receives. Let's try that. That might be the way to go. Because if I can find a signal strength... That might be the way to go. So what we would want is... Can I put you like this? No. That's not the way I want that to work. That is not the way I want that to work. What I probably want is... Let's see, where's my vortex tube? So I want it to get hot, okay. Why do you feel like you're just going to be like the opposite of what I want you to be? There's a wrench from Pneumaticraft, isn't there? I think there is. Needs a few things, but I think we can pull it off. Not great. Alright, thinking for a sec. I need to figure out how to place these correctly, because they never want to place the way I want them to. Yeah, so you do weird things. Do you only work that way? I don't know. Are you getting pressure? No. You're running out of pressure because I blocked you. Alright, give me a sec. Alright, so I'm going to use the analog lever here. I think I got this working. So I've got a regulator tube module. It's filtered upwards and going into the side of this vortex tube. Again, I might rearrange this a little bit just to make it look better, but first get it working, then make it look nice. All right, so we can see the pressure down here is 4.4. The pressure up here is basically nothing. And then I want to have this dude ready to go and receive temperature. So what this tube does is it lets a certain amount of pressure through based on the redstone signal it's receiving. If it's receiving no redstone signal, it lets any amount of pressure through. If it's receiving like a full redstone signal, it lets no pressure through, right? So no signal, all pressure, full signal, no pressure, and then interspersed between them, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place down this guy, and we're going to give him a redstone signal power of 1. And we can see on the tooltip, receiving redstone signal 1, threshold 4.6 bars. So let's make it like 14, which is a threshold of 0.3, right? So that means that only 0.3 bars of pressure are allowed to be inside the vortex tube, and therefore the that dude. Is that cool? I haven't quite figured out how to get him to like face that way. I'm really bad at placing these. I have to figure out how to get them to place correctly, right? But at this point, we should see if 0.3 is cool, right? That would be great. We're gonna have to just see like once this cools down, where it stabilizes at. And then we'll be able to do like the potato and the yeast thing to make ethanol. Right? So hopefully he stabilizes somewhere between 30 and 60. And if he does, then we're happy campers, right? I guess we'll see. And we want to keep an eye on the thermal, the heat thing too. So it's poorly insulated, which is fine. We can add insulation if we need to. But realistically, I'm hoping that I don't need to. And that we can just have this thing, you know, work. So, I mean, as long as he stays above 30 now, which I got to imagine he will, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be more than fine. I think we're cool with this. I think we're definitely cool with this. Okay, so now if we got some potatoes, right? And I want the dispenser upgrade as well. Okay, so you're going to dispense to the top of a block. You're going to eject, and I would like you to have a tank. Actually, I already have a small fluid tank, so that's cool. So you go there, you go here, and then I would like you to probably just laser IO him, and maybe we'll like give you a different color so that you can. That's not my laser lens. This is. There you go. Right. So you'll just insert, and you will extract. And when we do this, he should start extracting, and then once he drops below 30, we're making more yeast, right? I love this yeast automation. I'm very proud of it. Can you tell? I get very proud when things work really well. I get very excited. I'm like, hey, how cool is that? Right? It's super fun for me. And this does not care about pressure. It doesn't need any pressure, so we're fine. As long as we're above 0, which we are, we're good. Okay. Now you should be working. Right, you're working and you're dumping your ethanol into here. Perfect. Perfect, right? Now we only get 50 millibuckets, well 25 actually from a regular potato. So not great. 50, 20, 50, 10, 50. I mean, sugar might not be a bad way to go. Poisonous potato would be good, or apples would be good. How am I for apples? We're probably fine on apples, except that my storage thing doesn't hold more than 512. Okay. Yeah, or we could always go with sugar, right? That would be fine too. Sugar would basically give me twice as much, you know. Well, the thing is I have an automated sugarcane. So I mean I have a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but I just haven't automated it, so that's my slight concern there. But yeah, now we're getting 50 per operation here, and that's pretty cool. All right, so that's cool. Great. So now you're making ethanol, and you're making seed oil, or vegetable oil, and now we should be able to make biofuel, right? Am I right about that? Somewhere in here? Biodiesel. Yeah, biodiesel. That's our next step, and that is just a fluid mixer with some pressure. So as long as we have 2 bars of pressure, seed oil and ethanol equals biodiesel. So I think, now you're the low pressure, aren't you? Yeah, and how much pressure do you need for that? You need 2. That would be super cool if I could get you to like... I'm probably going to want to rearrange this a smidge. A smidge. Yeah, let's rearrange this. It is uncivilized to break with that stuff, but like I said, we would be rearranging this, right? So if I popped you here, but I clicked that, that would prevent him from connecting, right? So he's going to go above temperature for a sec because he got a big burst of pressure, but it'll come back down. And then what I need to do I'm going to place down another thermopneumatic dude. Here, and he'll be nicely pressurized, right? Now, he might get pressurized, which I don't care about, as long as he doesn't get pressurized, which currently he's not, and that's fine with me. Cool. All right, so now I'd really like to figure out, like, it would be cool if I could get this regular tube to, like, face that way. Just don't know why I can't. Let me see if there's, like, is there, like, a trick to this? Like, what am I missing? Oh, my goodness, what color is that? This module limits the pressure. Yes, yes, yes. How do I get it to, like, place correctly? Like, I want it to face that way. If I could get you to face that way, that would be great. But you just don't... He wants to, like, not face the way I want him to face. Also, if I did that, he wouldn't be able to go that way anyway. So I want to... What I really want to do is probably... that, and then we could run him like that, basically. But I want to give him the analog switch, which if I put it here should be fine for 14. Okay. So now if I did this, that should be cool. And 0.3 bar of what's going in there, and then you're able to operate. You seem fine. You're going to stay cool. Okay. That looks pretty good to me. And then I want one more dispenser upgrade. Again, on the top of the block. And then for biodiesel, it's just pressure that we care about, not heat. So we don't care about the heat at all. Okay. You'll notice this thing is getting a little heat from here because he's sharing his heat because they're touching each other. It's kind of a neat thing to note. Very, very cool, actually. Is this the right one, actually? No. He needs a fluid mixer, not a thermopneumatic. My bad. Fluid mixer. It's a different machine. So he needs reinforced walls for a fluid mixer. And I'm pretty sure this recipe, this turbine motor thing, is a pressure chamber. So gold and 2 redstone dust. So gold and 2 redstone dust. I'm going to get a few extras. So that should pop in there. Boop, boop. And then there's your turbine blades. Cool. And fluid mixer. Perfect. So that's going to sit there. And you're going to get the auto output, and you're going to have a tank. Perfect. And now all we need to do is just combine these 2 fluids into here, which I'll probably just do with laser IO, right? Yeah, it should be fine. You know, I could... Maybe we don't need to store these in tanks here? Let's just do that. I like that plan. So what if I just clicked on, like, the side of the block, east, and put you in here? Would you be, like, shoving into east now? Yeah, look, ethanol. And then if I took you and said west and put you in here and got you more seeds to operate with... Because, like, I don't think there's any other use for vegetable oil, really, besides biodiesel, right? So, like, no reason to store them in tanks. Just shove them into each other. They don't have to do anything with laser IO or no other cables or nothing. Is that cool? I think that's cool, right? And then the fluid's going up to the top, and that should be good. Then I just have to handle the glycerol, which, by the way, you can use to make speed upgrades, which is cool. There's supposed to be, by the way, speed upgrades, the pack has a bug in it right now. This is supposed to require a bucket of lubricant in the middle, and it's not there. So that's kind of OP that it doesn't require you to do that. It'll be fixed in the next version. I'm currently playing version 1.8, which added Botania, by the way. And applied Botanics. Cool. All right, I think that's a good wrapping up point for us. So I'll just leave these ethanols and vegetable oils here, but now we've got biodiesel, auto production. All we need to do is feed in more sugar and potatoes or whatever else I decide to use here. Just sugar, basically, right? Sugar, and we're cool, right? So what I... do I want to link these two? Probably not. Well, I mean, I could. I could link these two networks, right? Could link these two networks. If I did, all I would want to do is change you to be orange. Yeah, let's do that. And then you to be orange. And then you should still be flowing just fine. And what I could do is I could have you insert on white. How about 16 sugar? So then if I combined you two networks, you're getting sugar from the same source. Remember, we disabled the insert side, so he'll always extract sugar when he needs to, right? And that's pretty cool. Look at that. Look at it working, right? So that, I feel like that's pretty awesome. I feel like that's pretty awesome, right? And he'll keep sugar in there. And that I like that. All right, wrapping up point for sure. Del20 sign off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.